also Gian from
Satnam.
Satnam. Okay, so shall let's see, half a minute more for tuning in. Okay, so here we go. Inhale, exhale. Inhale. Om
Gurudeva Namaha, Satguru Namaha, Siri Gurudeva Namaha, Sadguru Namaha, Sadguru Namaha, Satguru Siri Gurudeva Namaha,
Breathe. Okay. So what Japa Saraswati was talking about Maine. So can you talk just a couple of minutes about that?
Uh, yeah, we had it was a very weird day when I woke up yesterday morning because first I saw on the news that Johann Sebastian uh Guterres, is that I'm
Hello.
uh, yes, and he was shot, and that's really close by, or it's close by, by a country mile. And and I felt I could just it felt so heavy, like just this wave of grief and also a bit of fear, like it was the same thing that happened. I just got a new passport yesterday. My old passport expires in a couple of months. So I had that moment of I got it early so that there wouldn't be any lapse in between and that I could carry the card on me, the passport card to prove my citizenship, which is a crazy thing. And like last week, I was at the Starbucks. I was logging onto the Wi-Fi, and there was an ICE vehicle whose Wi-Fi came up on my phone's Wi-Fi. It just said like ICE command vehicle, and it really scared me. It scared me to think that I could look outside and that there could be secret vehicles to harass people or abuse people or take kidnap people. That's really, really frightening. Um,
Because
and
it happened in Maine. And
yes,
she is from Maine.
it happened even closer than that. Like a couple of months ago, there's a guy. I'm gonna start to cry thinking about it because there's a guy who was living in a local apartment building just like 10 miles away from here, from right here, that he was a Hispanic guy, and they broke down the windows at the back of the apartment building, and they took him. They took him, and they brought him to some detention facility someplace. And
Oh my
he
God.
has like a kids and family here. You
Oh,
know, he had a handyman business. Like, I mean, all of my grandparents were immigrants, like not only that, but yeah, it's very frightening. And then so yeah, so also the energy yesterday, the because of the wildfires in Canada, the sky here turned this sort of ambery yellow color, all just occluded, and just a heavy energy all day long. I've felt really emotional for a couple of days.
Okay.
wow. Thank
Okay.
you
So
for sharing.
I'm going to suggest that with when it starts, this is it. The beginning, you know? So as soon as it happens, just begin with CNR.
Mm.
Yeah,
You got it? And
yeah,
see what happens.
yeah,
Okay? And stay with your own soul or with Baba Siddhi Chand. Okay? Okay. Thank you, dear.
yeah.
So we'll just take, because we're going to have CNR in a little bit way. So now, would you please bring us for our message?
Sure. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. I have to find how to do it. Oh, I don't know how to do it. This might be the size it is.
I can make it bigger on my screen.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Um,
we
okay,
all can probably.
good. Okay, so this is class 3 of the Buddha Letting Go. Tune in. Message. Please read the whole document from Japa Saraswati. After that, we will see the last and third video section. Next, Aagia Pal will lead the Dynamite Diamond meditation, followed by Siri Gian leading CNR, etc. My
Okay,
dear,
okay, this is fine. Go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Did you already do the recording?
yes,
Yes.
I
Okay.
started it. I started it right away.
Oh, good. Okay. Go ahead.
My dear light workers, during our current and past week, I pray that you will be able to hear the second video section again and more knowing and meditation for your understanding, as how we can listen at the beginning of our section. This will be our last and third course for our Buddhist no ego course.
Mm.
And of course, you will remember the same text from the first and second classes, but we will see the dates for the third classes. 7/15/26, and for the last third section of the same remarkable video. Now, what have you learned from rewatching the second section of the video? And please read that part again. I think that you mean to say, please view that part again, that part of the video again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then please let us know what you have learned, with even more understanding from each of you have changed or healed from your study meditation from our second class. Listen from each of you to give a short synopsis from your answer by using round robin listening now. Do you want to do that right now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll stop sharing and then we'll just come back to it, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So, Aagia Pal, are you ready?
Sure. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So, where to begin? All right, I'll begin with last week uh we did our Healy. We asked our Healy to, and we did Dynamite Diamond. And this week I was continuing that, and if you recall, it was myself, but also a client, and the client had a cardiovascular issue, and she called me today. I'm just like so full of gratitude. She called me today. She said, "Joan, I went to the doctor and I'm clear. There is nothing in my artery, is carotid." And she said, "I don't have to go back to another year." And she's like crying all over the place, and she's so happy. And she said, "I called you first." And I said, "Well, I've I've been doing this meditation for you, and I'm hoping it sounds like it's helped." So anyway, I just wanted to report that the power of Dynamite Diamond. I'm not necessarily saying it was a cause and effect, but I definitely think it really contributed. Um, so then, I was all elated and everything, and then um, listening again to the video. Um, what came up for me was, very pertinent. Releasing control, and the wisest thing is just to feel everything with an absolutely open heart, but not cling to anything, and or any outcome. And I've had some problems with that, because and I'm so what I'm saying is I'm working on it. It's quite a practice for me, and the whole idea of being aware now, and that's come, I reported last week, come uh, to me, that I have been unconscious of a lot of what I've been clinging to, and all of my attachments, etc. But now there's an awareness of a more balanced kind of way of being with sort of the natural, as the video says, natural rhythm of existence. And so when things don't go my way, to accept, accept, let go of attachment, and expectations, let go of it, and just appreciate, and each day. And and so 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 that's really um, starting to root in me, the flexibility around that I'm not in control of everything, and if this doesn't happen when I want it to happen, it doesn't define how I'm going to be, or how I'm going to respond rather than react. So there was a lot in that, and it kind of just feels like I'm on this path of wisdom, of learning wisdom. I don't know, learning is not quite the right word, but gaining wisdom, I guess that's the word. And then I leave it with a question. Uh, if I am accepting, and I'm flexible, and I'm quiet, and I'm acknowledging, and I'm observing, I really have to take action too. I mean, I can't ignore what's going on. And usually anger has been a real good motivator for me. Like if I say, oh, this is not just, or this, oh, and I've got to do something. So it's more of a, it was in the past more of an anger generated kind of action. And now I'm saying to myself, you know, as I sit and observe and not release attachments and let go, um, action I think will is starting to come naturally, and allowing myself to be led um, from my soul self, from my higher self, is starting to take root more deeply than before. So I think I'm going to most likely watch this video again, and maybe some multiple times, um, but that's what has gotten through to me uh, as of today. Um, it doesn't mean that pain is not going to come, or feelings of fear aren't going to come, but they are not going to imprison me, I guess is the word. Is I'm letting the grip um, of of them. I'm sort of trying to remove the fear, the grip of fear, and so freedom and peace can take more root in me, and that I could be more of a vessel and more of an instrument of, you know, peace in the world. So that's my check-in.
Thank you, G.
Welcome. Thank you. I think Siri Gian might be muted.
I think so.
Okay, you're right. Okay, so so I'm glad that before you were having difficulty with fear.
Yes.
And look at that. It's about changing your awareness,
Yep.
your consciousness. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it is. And it's changing it in the way of releasing my necessity to control, to feel safe, you know.
Mhm.
It takes some courage, I think. This whole thing takes courage, and can't be done alone. That's why I really look forward to this meeting that we have, and to everybody here. I appreciate everybody here because it really supports my work.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you to everybody.
Thank you. That's great. Oh, so now I'm just going to tell you yesterday morning, it was like a half a dream, and it was like the voice kept telling me all these different places that I felt that either I was almost dead or suicide. And I went through uh, the whole string. And this morning made me so happy. So keep up. Stay with CNR. Keep up. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So now, Gyan Das Prem.
Satnam. What I noticed from the last couple of weeks, reading along with the video, I was noticing that as you read along, the words sort of lit up. And I was sort of told to look inside a little bit more on the breath with the focus through the, you know, all these levels of consciousness that we're sitting with, and this level of technology that we've been given with our body, and the ability to change through that, through some of the challenges and noticing. And yeah, I was brought back to the simplicity of that and how change can happen in those small moments and those simple moments of moving through. So for me, it was more just looking inside and becoming really still and just finding that center place where, when I'm most relaxed in the deep meditation, I find that it's a good channel for letting go of any pains or ills or what things that I may be holding in my mind, right? And it's just so beautiful to be able to listen to that and to read through that and to see the structure of it, and the minutes of the meeting in there too, and just going back and returning to those reminders and noticing the lessons that I have learned that also correspond to the Zen Buddhism and other modes of singing and dancing, and then just sort of coming back to that and noticing the pattern of the breath. So for me, it's just more hearing what I'm hearing from inside rather than projecting or, you know, like natural ways of that sort of flushing in my water. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay, so Salt City. Salt City, unmute. Are you there? Salt City, unmute.
Maybe we want to come back to her?
Yes. Okay. So, Harimander.
Uh-huh. Well, as Aagia Pal mentioned, being allowing oneself to be led.
Yes.
So that's kind of takes up my day. So I have not listened to the last thing again, but the part of being peace in the world, I have that as my regular practice in the morning, and the following the directions of the Buddhist monk that walked across America. And so every day I write, today will be my peaceful day, and all sorts of other things, whatever comes up, being open to synchronicity and that kind of thing. So I'm doing it in a way that I can do it, and a way that keeps me off the phone, the Wi-Fi, because my own practice is I may not do anything with the phone or scroll or anything like that until after I've brushed my teeth, after I've taken a shower, after I've gotten ready, breakfast ready, sometimes after I have jumped on the rebounder outside with a tree right there so I can hold on to it while I So those are all the things. And what I've done instead of listening to the recording is process a year and a half of taxes and mail. So I'm very proud of myself. And it's moving things out.
Wonderful.
That's where I am.
That's great. Okay, now I would suggest to do heart breath. Okay,
Mhm.
because you don't need anything else. Just stay with heart breath and stay with peace. This is it. Okay, that would be great.
There are two people that, and maybe more coming up, because these have been good classes the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm beginning to pass them on to other people. So even though I haven't done the assigned homework in that way, other people are beginning to absorb it.
Wonderful. That's great, because remember, when we teach, that's how we learn ourselves. Remember? Yes.
Huh.
Okay.
And one of them is leaving for Mongolia
Oh, good.
with her family for 3 months. So she will be taking it abroad.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Because remember, heart breath is about, let's see, heart light coherence. And we need that to move through the whole world, to move the dense energies. We need that. Okay. As we talked with Dr. Clements and other people, it's all about moving with the breath through the heart. Very important. Okay. And thank you. And you're talking about your own consciousness, which is peace.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Sun City.
Satnam, everyone. So happy to be here.
Yes.
I'm so blessed. Thank you. It's been a very interesting time for me because, and it reminds me of something that Siri Gian, you said to me decades ago, that we would come into a time where there were shortages and difficulties and collapsing of old forms. And I'll explain how that connection is, but that there would be this spontaneous experience of, oh gosh, I don't have any food, or the stores are all shut down because of rioting or whatever. And then suddenly a truck is passing by and a bag of groceries fall off. And that's been the shift for me into this world, a new experience of the world, of everything I've needed. You know, some disastrous things have happened, and I'll explain that. And but everything I've ever needed has, as long as my heart is open and I concentrate on soul or focus on soul, things fall into place. So I was living in what's called a Catholic worker home. The wonderful priest who owned it became very, very very suddenly and very intensely Alzheimer's. So everything, he would flip out a lot. everything started falling apart in a very orderly, stable household where we always ate dinner together, and people had been there for decades. I've only been there about 5 years, had been there, but the whole thing suddenly collapsed, and he had to be taken by his order, removed, and taken to a special place that they have for priests and nuns who very devotedly served and sacrificed and didn't own anything. He was unusual to be a priest who was so together, successful financially, that he provided this home for people. Um, so and the whole thing was we had no rent, so that we could take jobs, and I took jobs that served, and I'm continuing, but that serve but don't pay hardly anything, like almost nothing, or very, very little. So what I'm saying, trying to connect to, suddenly I had no place to live. He just up and went, and the order came and got him, and I had to figure out a way to get my stuff out of there, and I had no place to go. And don't you know, out of the blue, friend, just a random friend that I met at a coffee shop, a new friend, a gentleman. Oh, he said, "Oh, I have the perfect place for you. I have a friend named Rob Bracken who runs a boarding house." So I'm in this boarding house, which is an old farm, big old farmhouse, and there's other people here, very eccentric characters. And he said, "Okay, housing here is so expensive." And I was facing being homeless, which would have been a big drag. And he said to me, I said, "Well, I know the going rate for this is about between 7,200 a month rent and maybe $4,200 rent." He goes, "Oh, no, you tell me what you can pay." I said, "Oh." He said, "Well, here's my income." He said, "Okay, you only have to pay $160."
Whoa.
That's not soul. I don't know what is.
Okay.
And it's those, you had said, I don't know if you remember talking about, in these times, everything would fall apart, but suddenly, a truck would drive by, a grocery truck, and your groceries would fall off. It's not crazy. It's a new reality of prosperity and fulfillment. And Aquarian age is pretty awesome. At least as I'm starting to experience it. So I try to live in that. And I had some things that complicate. I think maybe I've mentioned it. I got hit on the head with a totally huge, I can't even tell you how many feet high, and made of pure, really super thick glass. And I pulled on that door and it fell on my head. So I've had no memory, no short-term memory. And having to trust Guru, God and Guru, that I can get through this day, even though I don't remember always how to get home. I don't remember where I'm supposed to be. And I'm having to get much more disciplined and rely on intuition, and discipline in the fact that, okay, I'm writing down where I'm supposed to be. As soon as I make a commitment, I have to write it down. And so far, so good. And it's been like a new age boot camp or something, where
Okay.
shape up, private. You're a newbie in this reality. Of course, you're meant to be here. You're welcome, but it's a boot camp, a
Got it.
Aquarian reality boot camp. So this meeting in our community is a lifeline for me, and I'm so grateful we have this and we have each other, because it brings us a sense of confidence and peace and trust that as the things are falling apart,
Yeah.
whatever we need. And then weird things happen. I'm not a political person. I'm not, the city government in Framingham is very Aquarian. Somebody came up to me at the coffee shop and said, "Hey, we need somebody to do this." And I'm just not trying to remember what it was. I got an assignment, which was kind of hard, to help out with the political communication systems. And, oh, we understand that you have a background in communications, and can you help us, work, volunteer to create a system for communication of what we talk about at the meetings. Oh, write the summary. That was it. I have to write the summary of what happens at the city council, which is a very Aquarian setup for government in Framingham. And they're moving more and more in these Aquarian directions. You'd never think that government might be the first thing to change. And that when you go to the city council meetings, which people attend, it's such a incredibly diverse. Brazilians only speaking Portuguese, Mexicans only speaking Spanish, white people, black people, rich people, poor people, and having to figure out how to meet new needs. So I see a lot, I'm experiencing a lot of Aquarian reality, and it's hard to believe it's here. And that the guru assisted me with this head injury because I had to forget everything I knew and would try to that and I would try to cling to. So it has its challenges. I haven't been able to work, but a gal from church, there's no cure for head injuries like this. There's no treatment really even. But a gal from my church was a naturopath who says, "Oh, you just need to take the inflammation out of your brain. You need to take olive." I'm going to look at the things that I had to take. I'm taking that really work. So it's called milk thistle and olive oregano leaf oil. Lo and behold, it works. I'm getting my memory back. It was not going to happen there's nothing I could do at the hospital. And it was really difficult. And now I'm living in this old farmhouse, in a boarding house with a tiny room, and it's perfect. Yeah, and I told you, sorry if I'm repeating myself because that's part of this forgetful. How much do you want to pay? And it's like $160 a month, which fits with my budget perfectly.
Wow.
The testimony by the grace of Guru, God and Guru.
You got it.
Amen. Hallelujah. Satnam.
That's right.
Thank you, G.
Satnam.
Exactly. And I'm also helping them exactly with the soul or the higher self. Same thing is happening. Exactly. And if you remember about Pam Gregory said
Yes.
about these situations that some people have felt like mental illness and more, and that's because of the energies of the Aquarian change, your transformation. There it comes. Stay with it. That's stay with that. That's soul answer.
Soul answer. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Satnam, Satnam, Satnam.
Adnan. Okay, Japa Saraswati.
I wish I had taken notes during the video.
Can you be a little louder?
Sure. Um, I said I wish I had taken notes during the video, but I didn't. So I just have to go by memory. But what I was struck by, or at least what came to me, was there was a line about if you um, let go of the fear of death, um, then death has no power over you. And what came to me was about the time in Haiti that we were having the robbery, and I started doing the Hare Krishna mantra, and I felt Krishna consciousness, and the Krishna consciousness helps you to not be afraid of death. I didn't know that. I learned that afterwards, but that's one of the special gifts of Krishna. Um, and to this day, I still feel a really special relationship with Krishna because of this. Um, and then I sort of sent like Krishna consciousness or Krishna energy to um, the the boy who was just shot by ice. Um, that hoping that he wasn't in fear, and that was a smooth that's a smooth transition for him. And and about essentially Krishna consciousness being like this type of liberation from I want to say from it felt well. So where I went from there was about consciousness no reality, was about liberation from the current situation. That's kind of what consciousness no reality is in a way. And
Thank
the
you.
video went on to say that like I felt like the rest of the video, or the rest of that segment, was about when we let go um, of control, then we're really free. And what I felt was to just allow. And Jagat Guru used to say that in all of the classes. She would say to just allow. And she would use that word a lot. She would say to allow the sound of her voice, but she would also say it to mean to allow the benefits of the Kriya um, to settle into your body. And I felt like I had allow a lot back in Millis. And I was trying, I don't think that that's in, I don't think that that's one of like the catchwords in Japji, but I feel like there was somewhere else that I just kept on hearing allow a lot. So yeah, so that was my takeaway from segment 2 of the video.
Yes, and that's incredible. That is great. Because Japji is incredible, because I also sometimes I can't just have wake a longing. No, just feeling insomnia.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, if I do Japji, after that, just a few minutes or begin sleeping. Japji is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jude.
Okay. So now let's do the next part of our last part. Oh, just leave the list. Just read those things.
The rest of this, or just the consciousness, no reality part?
No, just go with the whole talking that we were talking about. And then
Okay.
after that, we'll have the video.
So that's where we just left off, was listen from each of you and give round robin. Then I suggest that you truly deeply feel this great letting go, as well as slide from fear. You can embody these items from CNR, Consciousness No Reality. We have found that they help us to move how to let go from our ego, everyday self, as well as moving out of the third dimension while ascending into the fifth dimension. As you let go of your old thinking, old thought, believing, your images that evaporate your old unbreakable understanding. Next, then please change or transform kindly using heart breath self during the third segment of our video. As you let go, then finally simply live and softly be. The Buddha way is to allow wisdom, peace, and pure love. Just be. Then perhaps you will let go piece by piece from your shell's ego to become the true, humble, strong, pure, transformational, simple, kind, loving you. That is not thinking or trying about all of these human characteristics. Instead, you will find/love those characters deeply within your own true source, not from ego, not proud, but humility. Allow fun, letting go with heart breath to change from dark to light, able to use your brain straight from your pure, simple, authentic intelligence, your true self/soul/God. Now you will see this third portion of this Buddhist teaching video. As you know, you will see this final short section, about 25 minutes, that is presented in our video's timeline, and also to work with smaller amounts for your mind's processing. Please view our last week's section during our third class during the rest of the third week. This way, we can evolve these ideas more deeply within our true knowing. Please keep with meditation and realizations during the third and last week. In this way, we can better process understandings within your whole consciousness. There is transforming/healing within the rest of your life. Okay, so here's the title of the video. We've crossed through weeks 1 and 2. Here's week 3. We're going to start that in a minute. Here's the link. I already sent this to everybody's text message. After that, Aagia Pal will lead us for 1 minute of heart pumping, which is heart breath with breath of fire. Then use 2 parts for this meditation for Dynamite Diamond, which is 1 minute heart breath. Listen from your voice to decide who or what will move toward your Heelys meditation. Then 3 minutes. Continue to feel very strong third eye energies, to feel focus and see direct to your diamond light beam toward your Heely, to another from yourself. If more than enough power from Dynamite Diamond is needed, then change to heart breath. And then Siri Gian leads the meditation. So we'll continue with Consciousness No Reality, 5 minutes of Consciousness No Reality, which is strong heart breath, which is belly breath, nose inhalation for 6 seconds, nose exhalation for 6 seconds, from out of your heart center, slide from fear, let go of any of your nasty, difficult old stuff, no reality, no thinking, no everyday self, only feel, just be light. Then 2 minutes to become awareness and understand what happened from your notes. From everyday self, use your notes. Lots of love, Siri Gian.
Great. Thank you, dear. Okay, now is the video.
Okay, I'm almost ready.
Oh,
Okay, I'm
good.
queued up.
And stay when you see that, hear that, use heart breath.
Without demanding more or less. This balance creates contentment, not excitement, not constant happiness, but a steady acceptance that carries you through both joy and difficulty. This is how letting go reaches maturity. You stop fighting reality with ideas of how things should have been. You stop measuring your worth through outcomes. You stop
Wait a
comparing your journey to others.
Wait a
You
minute.
allow life to be exactly
Japa
what it is,
Saraswati,
without
8
adding
minutes.
mental resistance. In this
Japa
space,
Saraswati.
peace arises naturally. Nothing hurts as deeply when you stop demanding fairness, because pain is no longer personalized. Loss is no longer interpreted as failure. Change is no longer seen as betrayal. Life becomes a movement you participate in, not a judge you argue with. This is the freedom Buddhism points toward. Not the freedom of having life behave perfectly, but the freedom of no longer being at war with it. When you allow life to be real, exactly as it is, suffering loses one of its final foundations. And in that allowance, peace quietly settles into the heart. 10. When you no longer need life to feel complete, nothing has power.
Can you hear that?
Sorry, what's going on?
Yes, it seemed that there were two talking. Two talking. Do other people have that as well?
Yes.
Okay. So can we make it just for one and then start that again?
Let me try.
Power over you. At the deepest point of letting go,
Is this working?
Buddhism reveals a truth that quietly dissolves the
Yeah.
last layer of suffering.
All
The
right, so
final
I'll move
attachment
it
is
back a
not to
minute.
people, memories, pain, though nothing external has changed. When you stop asking life to be fair, gratitude begins to replace resentment. You appreciate
make
moments
it
not
higher?
because they were guaranteed, but because
Can
they
you make it
happened at
higher
all.
with your own
You
volume
learn to receive
controls?
what comes
That's what I
without
had to do to
demanding
make the
more or
echo
less.
go away.
This balance creates contentment, not
Can you hear it?
excitement, not constant happiness, but a steady acceptance that
Not
carries
well.
you through both joy and difficulty. This
All right,
is how
if I
letting
bring
go
my
reaches
phone to the
maturity.
other room, it
You
might work.
stop fighting reality
Hold
with
on.
ideas of how things should have been.
What?
You stop measuring your worth through outcomes. You
Do
stop
it again.
comparing your journey to others.
Have
You allow
more.
life to be exactly what it is,
Wait a
without
minute.
adding mental resistance.
There we-
In this space, peace arises naturally. Nothing hurts as deeply when you stop demanding fairness, because pain is no longer personalized. Loss is no longer interpreted as failure. Change is no longer seen as betrayal. Life becomes a movement you participate in, not a judge you argue with. This is the freedom Buddhism points toward. Not the freedom of having life behave perfectly, but the freedom of no longer being at war with it. When you allow life to be real, exactly as it is, suffering loses one of its final foundations, and in that allowance, peace quietly settles into the heart. 10. When you no longer need life to feel complete, nothing has power over you. At the deepest point of letting go, Buddhism reveals a truth that quietly dissolves the last layer of suffering. The final attachment is not to people, memories, pain, or outcomes. The final attachment is the belief that something outside of you must change for you to feel whole. As long as the heart believes that peace depends on a future moment, a healed relationship, a perfect version of yourself, or a life without struggle, suffering continues quietly in the background. True freedom begins when you stop waiting for life to complete you and realize that completeness has always been here. Many people move through life with an invisible sense of lack. They believe something is missing, something that must be achieved, fixed, healed, forgiven, or proven before they can finally rest. Buddhism teaches that this belief keeps the mind restless. The moment one desire is fulfilled, another appears. The moment one problem is solved, another replaces it. The search for completion never ends because it is built on the false assumption that wholeness lives somewhere else. Letting go deeply at this level means releasing the need for life to resolve itself before you allow yourself to be at peace. This does not mean you stop growing or caring. It means you stop postponing peace. You stop saying, "I will be calm when things improve," or "I will be happy when I become someone better," or "I will rest when life finally makes sense." Buddhism teaches that peace is not the reward at the end of effort. It is the ground from which wise effort arises. When you understand this, striving becomes lighter. You still move forward, but you are no longer chasing yourself. The belief that something is missing also creates fear. Fear of losing progress, fear of making mistakes, fear of falling behind, fear of not becoming who you think you should be. Buddhism teaches that this fear is rooted in identification with an incomplete self-image. When you let go of the idea that you must become something else to be enough, fear loosens its grip. You become willing to meet life as you are, instead of constantly preparing to be worthy of it. At this depth, letting go means releasing the inner pressure to fix yourself. Many people believe they must heal every wound, resolve every emotion, and understand every part of their past before they can feel peace. Buddhism teaches that awareness does not need perfection to be free. You can be incomplete and still be whole. You can be healing and still be at peace. When you stop turning yourself into a project, the heart relaxes. Growth happens naturally, without force. When life no longer needs to feel complete, suffering loses its final foundation. Loss still happens, but it no longer feels like something essential was taken from you. Change still occurs, but it no longer threatens your sense of self. Failure still visits, but it no longer defines your worth. You remain grounded because your peace is not built on conditions. This understanding also transforms how you relate to time. You stop living for a future version of yourself. You stop replaying the past in search of resolution. You begin to live more fully in the present, not because everything is perfect, but because nothing is required to be. Buddhism teaches that the present moment is complete as it is. When you rest in this truth, time loosens its hold on you. At this level, gratitude becomes effortless. You are no longer grateful because life is easy, but because life is happening. You stop demanding meaning from every experience. You allow moments to be simple. Silence becomes enough. Breathing becomes enough. Existing becomes enough. This simplicity is not dullness. It is freedom from excess. When nothing is needed to complete you, relationships change. You no longer cling out of fear of emptiness. You no longer stay where you are unseen. You no longer beg for understanding. You choose connection from fullness rather than need. This makes love calmer, cleaner, and less painful. You give without losing yourself. You receive without dependency. This final letting go also dissolves the fear of being alone. Solitude no longer feels like abandonment. It feels like presence. When you are no longer waiting for something to fill you, you can sit with yourself without discomfort. Buddhism teaches that loneliness comes from resistance to one's own experience. When resistance dissolves, solitude becomes peaceful. At this depth, the question, "Why did this happen to me?" quietly fades. Not because you found the answer, but because you no longer need one. Life does not have to justify itself for you to be at peace. This is not resignation. It is maturity. The heart no longer argues with existence. When you stop needing life to complete you, control dissolves naturally. You are no longer trying to manage outcomes to feel safe. You trust yourself to meet whatever arises. This trust is not arrogance. It is familiarity with impermanence. You know things will change, and you know you will remain. This is the final unbinding. The self relaxes, the struggle softens, the search ends, not because everything was found, but because nothing was missing. You still experience joy and pain, gain and loss, beginnings and endings, but they no longer define you. Nothing has power over you when you no longer demand that life be different for you to feel whole. Nothing can truly hurt you when your peace does not depend on circumstances. This is not escape from the world. It is freedom within it. This is what it means to let go completely, not to disappear, but to arrive fully, not to become empty of life, but to become free of unnecessary suffering. When you stop waiting to be complete, you realize that you have been whole all along. 11. When you stop resisting what is, life becomes gentle with you. At the deepest point of letting go, there is one final movement the heart must make, the release of resistance itself. Resistance is subtle. It does not always appear as anger or rejection. Sometimes it appears as quiet tension, constant mental commentary, subtle disappointment, or the feeling that life should be slightly different than it is right now. Buddhism teaches that suffering continues not because pain exists, but because the mind resists pain's presence. When resistance dissolves, even difficult moments lose their sharpness. Most human beings live with a constant inner push against reality. The mind is always correcting, adjusting, judging, and negotiating with the present moment. It says, this moment should be easier, this feeling should not be here, this person should understand me, this phase should be over by now. These thoughts feel harmless, but they quietly create a state of inner struggle. Life continues to unfold, but the heart is never fully here. Buddhism teaches that this resistance is what exhausts the soul, not life itself. Letting go deeply at this level does not mean approving of everything that happens. It means ending the habit of fighting the present moment. When pain arises, you allow it to be there without demanding that it leave immediately. When uncertainty appears, you sit with it without rushing to escape. When sadness visits, you make space for it instead of labeling it as failure. This allowance does not increase suffering, it softens it. Resistance tightens pain, acceptance loosens it. The Buddha taught that the present moment is always workable, even when it is uncomfortable. What makes moments unbearable is the belief that they should not exist. When you stop arguing with the moment, it stops feeling like an enemy. You begin to experience life directly, instead of through layers of mental judgment. The body relaxes, the breath deepens, The mind becomes quieter. This is not forced calm, it is natural stillness returning. Resistance also keeps identity rigid. The mind says, I should not be the kind of person who feels this way. I should be stronger, calmer, more healed by now. Buddhism teaches that this self-judgment is another form of attachment. Attachment to an image of who you think you should be. When you release this image, compassion arises. You allow yourself to be human without punishment. Growth becomes gentle instead of harsh. As resistance dissolves, emotional pain transforms. It no longer feels like a personal failure. It feels like weather passing through awareness. Sadness comes and goes. Fear rises and settles. Joy appears and fades. None of it needs to be controlled. None of it needs to be chased away. You stop micromanaging your inner world. Peace grows, not because emotions disappear, but because they are allowed to move freely. This level of letting go also changes how you experience difficulty in life. Challenges still arise, but they no longer feel overwhelming. You meet them with curiosity instead of panic. You ask, what is this moment asking of me, rather than why is this happening to me? This shift is subtle, but it changes everything. Life stops feeling like a series of attacks and starts feeling like a process you are part of. Buddhism teaches that resistance is rooted in the illusion of control. The belief that if you resist hard enough, life will change direction. When you see that resistance does not alter reality, you naturally release it. Energy that was once spent on inner conflict becomes available for clarity, wisdom, and compassion. You act when action is needed, and you rest when rest is required. There is no urgency, no forcing. When resistance ends, relationships also soften. You stop trying to make people different so that you can feel at ease. You stop taking their behavior as proof of your worth. You accept people as they are, and you accept yourself as you are. This acceptance does not mean tolerating harm. It means responding from clarity instead of reaction. Boundaries become calm instead of defensive. At this depth, even the desire to be free loosens. You stop striving for enlightenment, peace, or healing as future achievements. You recognize that this moment, as it is already complete. There is nothing to fix before you can be present. There is nothing to resolve before you can rest. This is the paradox Buddhism points to. Freedom arrives when the search ends. Life becomes gentler when you stop resisting it, not because life changes, but because you do. You stop meeting each moment with tension. You stop bracing for impact. You stop preparing for disappointment. You trust yourself to meet what arises. This trust creates inner stability that does not depend on circumstances. At this stage, suffering becomes optional in a very real way. Pain may still appear, but it no longer turns into a story. It no longer defines your identity. It no longer demands meaning. It simply passes through awareness and leaves. This does not make you detached from life. It makes you deeply present within it. When resistance ends, gratitude appears quietly. Not gratitude for outcomes, but gratitude for existence itself. You appreciate moments not because they are perfect, but because they are real. You stop waiting for life to improve before you allow yourself to be at peace. Peace becomes your starting point, not your reward. This is the final teaching of letting go. Not letting go of life, but letting go of the fight with life. When the fight ends, suffering has nowhere to live. The heart becomes spacious. The mind becomes still. Life unfolds without opposition. When you stop resisting what is, life stops hurting you in the way it once did. Not because it spares you from difficulty, but because you no longer meet difficulty with fear and tension. You meet it with openness, awareness, and quiet strength. This is the deepest form of freedom Buddhism offers, a freedom that does not escape life, but fully embraces it, a peace that does not depend on conditions, a gentleness that comes from no longer being at war with the present moment. 12. When you no longer fear losing yourself, you are finally free. At the deepest layer of letting go, there is one final fear that quietly governs almost every human decision, the fear of losing yourself. Not losing people, not losing comfort, not losing stability, but losing the sense of who you think you are. Buddhism teaches that this fear is the final illusion the mind must release. As long as you believe there is a fixed self that must be protected, defended, and preserved, suffering continues in subtle forms. True freedom begins when this fear softens and the grip on identity loosens. Most suffering is not caused by events, but by how those events threaten the image you hold of yourself. You suffer when rejection challenges your sense of worth. You suffer when failure threatens your identity as capable or strong. You suffer when change disrupts the story you tell yourself about who you are and where you are going. Buddhism teaches that the self you are trying to protect is not as solid as it appears. It is a collection of memories, roles, beliefs, emotions, and habits, all of which are constantly changing. When you cling to this collection as if it were permanent, fear naturally arises. Letting go deeply at this level means seeing that you are not the story, you are the awareness in which the story unfolds. Experiences come and go, identities form and dissolve, but awareness remains steady. When you recognize this, the fear of losing yourself begins to fade, because you see that nothing essential has ever been at risk. You were never the roles you played, the labels you carried, or the expectations you lived under. You were always the presence observing them. Many people resist letting go of identity because they believe it will make them empty, lost, or meaningless. Buddhism teaches the opposite. When rigid identity dissolves, life becomes more vivid. You respond instead of react. You adapt instead of resist. You become flexible instead of fragile. When you no longer need to be a specific version of yourself, you gain access to a deeper authenticity. You stop performing, you stop proving, you stop defending, you simply live. This release also transforms how you experience loss. Loss hurts deeply when it feels like a piece of you has been taken away. When identity loosens, loss still brings sadness, but it no longer feels like annihilation. You grieve without collapsing, you remember without clinging, you move forward without betraying the past. Buddhism teaches that grief becomes unbearable only when identity is fused with what was lost. As fear of losing yourself dissolves, control naturally weakens. You no longer need to manage every outcome to protect your image. You no longer need certainty to feel safe. You trust your ability to meet life as it unfolds. This trust is not confidence in success, it is confidence in awareness. You know that whatever arises, you will still be here, present and intact. At this depth, comparison also fades. You stop measuring your life against others because you are no longer trying to validate a self-image. Someone else's success no longer diminishes you. Someone else's path no longer threatens yours. Buddhism teaches that comparison is a form of identity defense. When identity softens, comparison loses its purpose. Letting go of fear also changes how you experience vulnerability. Vulnerability no longer feels dangerous because there is no rigid self to protect. You can be seen without fear of exposure. You can be misunderstood without losing your center. You can be wrong without feeling erased. This openness is not weakness, it is profound inner stability. At this stage, even the desire to be unhurt dissolves. You no longer seek immunity from pain. You understand that pain is part of life, but suffering is not mandatory. You allow experience to move through you without labeling it as threat. Buddhism teaches that the unbreakable mind is not one that avoids pain, but one that does not fear it. This final letting go also brings deep compassion. When you see that others are also clinging to fragile identities, you understand their fear, their defensiveness, and their mistakes. Compassion arises naturally, without effort, not because you are morally superior, but because you see clearly. Hatred dissolves when understanding deepens. As identity loosens, silence becomes meaningful. You no longer need constant stimulation, explanation, or validation. Being becomes enough. Sitting quietly feels complete. This silence is not emptiness in the negative sense. It is fullness without clutter. Buddhism teaches that this silence is the natural state of the mind when grasping ends. When you no longer fear losing yourself, death itself loses some of its terror, not because it disappears, but because the rigid sense of me has softened. You understand life as a process, not a possession. You participate fully, but you do not cling. This acceptance does not make life less precious. It makes it more intimate. This is the final freedom, not freedom from experience, but freedom within it. You are no longer driven by fear of loss, fear of failure, or fear of becoming nothing. You see that what you truly are was never dependent on circumstances. You stop protecting an image and start living honestly. When fear of losing yourself ends, you no longer need life to go a certain way to feel safe. You no longer need control to feel grounded. You no longer need permanence to feel at peace. You are present, flexible, and deeply alive. This is what it means to let go completely, not to disappear, but to be free from fear, not to lose yourself, but to discover that what you truly are was never fragile. When nothing needs to be protected, nothing can truly be threatened, and in that realization, you rest in a quiet, unshakable peace. When you look back at everything you have learned, you begin to see a simple truth beneath all the words. Suffering was never proof that life was against you. It was proof that the heart was holding on too tightly. You were not broken by what happened. You were exhausted by carrying it longer than necessary. Buddhism does not teach you how to escape life. It teaches you how to stop fighting it. Letting go deeply does not mean becoming indifferent to the world. It means becoming intimate with it, without being trapped by it. You still feel joy, but you no longer cling to it in fear of losing it. You still feel sadness, but you no longer drown in it. You still love, but you no longer disappear inside love. Life continues to move, but it no longer drags you with it. You walk with it, calmly and consciously. When attachment loosens, something quiet and powerful takes its place. Awareness, presence, acceptance. You stop demanding that the past change. You stop chasing a future that promises completion. You arrive fully in the only place peace has ever lived, this moment. Not because it is perfect, but because it is real. You begin to understand that nothing was ever meant to stay forever. Not people, not emotions, not identities, not pain. And because of this, nothing was ever meant to be owned. When you stop owning experience, experience stops owning you. Loss no longer defines you. Change no longer threatens you. Uncertainty no longer terrifies you. You become steady, not because life becomes stable, but because you do. This is the quiet strength Buddhism points toward. A strength that does not harden the heart, but softens it. A strength that does not dominate life, but flows with it. When resistance ends, peace does not need to be created. It reveals itself naturally. When fear dissolves, love becomes lighter. When the need to be complete disappears, wholeness is discovered. Nothing can truly hurt you anymore when nothing is held too tightly. Pain may still visit, but it does not stay. Loss may still arrive, but it does not empty you. Life may still challenge you, but it no longer breaks you. You remain present, grounded, and awake. This is not the end of the path. It is the end of the struggle. From here, life continues, but it feels different, softer, wider, more honest. You no longer need to protect yourself from experience. You trust yourself to meet it. And in that trust, in that openness, in that gentle release, you discover the deepest peace a human being can know.
Okay. Okay, so breathe. Breathe. And begin with Aagia Pal.
Okay, so let's start with 1 minute of heart pumping, and that's heart breath with breath of fire. And begin. And please continue with heart breath for the next minute. Listen to your voice and listen to whomever, and whatever comes to you as your Healy, and begin. And now, for the next 3 minutes, please continue heart breath. Imagine that red ruby crystal radiating from your heart, and imagine directly the diamond light beam from your third eye, focusing it toward your Healy, or a part of yourself. And begin. And inhale. And exhale. And continue with Siri Gian and CNR.
Okay. Read. And now begin CNR. 5 minutes. Continue. Inhale. Exhale. And 2 minutes to become awareness and then understand what happened from EDS. Use your nose. Aagia Pal, are you ready?
Yes, I'm just feeling very grateful. It's just I feel like overwhelmed with gratitude, and I also feel uh, that what I have gone through and going through um, to release, let go. Um, it it feels like you know I have been trapped, you know, in my beliefs of who and what I am and so on, and I'm just beginning to feel that peace, that deep peace, and that freedom that comes from releasing this desire to you know, make myself better, make you know, a better life, releasing this desire, this fight that I have been fighting, you know, this attachment to life. and and the message that's come to me is just be in the present. um, Let go of attachment to how you think things should perfectly go. Let go of that attachment. Let it be. Let yourself be. You've been so hard on yourself. And so that's, in peace, and you're already complete. And peace is, just remember your peace. Just remember it. And when you remember it, on your process of remembering, don't feel guilty that you're letting things go, that you're not caring, you're not taking enough responsibility. Just remember the peace, that you're not in charge of humanity, and just remember peace. So I think that's my share.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Jan dan sprem.
Um, yeah, for me, I was really hearing my heart.
Caring?
I was hearing it. I was almost hearing my heartbeat a little bit there.
Mm-hmm.
I was just allowed a moment of deep stillness today, and I was noticing some of that, the stillness and the heart breath, and the sovereign serenity in there, and that wisdom. And I was noticing the work of the people before us, our ancestors, and that sort of vibration. I think that sometimes I can drop into in that letting go. Um, and I was brought to alternate nostril breathing is a way to come back, to push away the thoughts and whatnot. And it just led me to a place of like silver light, where I could see that light coming down from above and coming out my third eye through my crown chakra. And I'm noticing the light, how the light comes from the sun and through the other lives here, and that life's rainbow is sort of showing me that scope and the range of the colors. And I can come back to the mirror again and notice this the awe and the ability to walk through this and to move through this. It's such an incredible opportunity. And with the practice, I believe that it is coming through to rejuvenate this way of coming back into life for me in the personal experience. And with letting go of it, there's a way of seeing a little bit more and then moving beyond that. And I think with this practice of the breathing and the noticing of our ability to change and for some sort of acceptance in there. And it's so beautiful to bring that sort of within our names as well, noticing our name and moving forward with that is really cool for me. And the reminder of these different practices, how the wisdom comes through them all. So for me, it's continuing with the mantra and expressing through the voice, and slowly moving into the movements that I can, and stretching that out a little bit more, right, through the diet and through the epigenetics and the life of the way of the flower and the water and Waheguru. That's so cool that we're moving through this, and noticing the time that it takes, for the reading and the listening at the same time. I think reading can be really important nowadays. We're doing in society a little bit less page turning. So it's okay to have that electronic page to read along as we do that. And I think in this guide, it works really well here in this format. So thank you for that. And moving forward in this billion member group is so cool. Like Guru, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Okay. Salt City.
Satnam. It's a very beautiful experience and different than anything I've actually ever encountered before. My grandpa Frank showed up, and I didn't know him very well because he died when I was pretty young. But he was also alive when my family was very small, versus there's only me and my brother John, and then there was three more, and then yeah, well, there's 3 years I think between us, and then kids came one after another every year. In fact, a social worker asked me, so my mother ended up in a mental hospital, what where I thought babies came from. I go, ah, don't you know? A lady has a baby every year. Don't you know that? So the social worker was horrified and sent these books. So it was a very different soul time in my life. And I had this deep connection with my grandfather, Grandpa Frank, and he was an artist. And I was thinking about you, Siri Gian, because you're an artist too. And he actually ended up working in advertising and was a big part of developing that whole art series going way back. I'd walk a mile for a camel. He did a lot of the pictures of the camels. But he was a beautiful, beautiful artist at home, had a hobby painting watercolors. In fact, I carry in my purse tiny frame of a painting that he had made. That was just him and my grandmother. So he was a very different. What my grandmother told me is that my parents would never have had all the children they had. My life would have been totally different. And the basic message from him is the path of soul is the path of artistry. To be living in soul is to be an artist in that free dance. Apparently I would go out on this wooded property, which is actually central Long Island, which was total undeveloped at the time. Pine, it's a special kind of ecosystem, pine barrens, which are kind of rare. And I would be out in the yard dancing, just free dancing, prancing, and he would always tell my grandmother, try to get the camera because but anyway, the message is to live from soul. We have the model of the artist who, and I'm not quite sure what this will all mean. I'll be meditating on it till our next meeting. But the way the artist sees things that soul sees and responds in the way of an artist and is moved by this unending beauty of life. So I'm not sure what this all means and where it will lead, but the message was very, very clear, direct from a much beloved relative, who got my grandfather, who I did not get to enjoy growing up because he died very quickly of cancer. When just my brother and I were alive. So it's a very beautiful, inspiring, powerful message that I will meditate with and really embrace as a way of living, as a path of soul. That's all I have to say, Satnam.
Got it. That was it. That's good.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Um,
Okay. Hanimander.
Yeah. Okay, I'm on. Lots of things.
mm,
The Healy turned out to be all of Mongolia, the whole, and wherever Mongolians are in the rest of the world. And it also became at the same time ice. So both were Heelys. Because my Mongolian friend had talked about horrible, far worse than ice, things that happened in Mongolia in the past. And those things have happened in other places too. But as I'm saying this, it's similar to the frequency of forgiveness, where using the worst in our experience actually liberates and heals all the victims at the same time. And Aagia Pal mentioned that the figuring out who I am, or the trapped in who I believe I am, as opposed to who I'm already are, complete and in peace, and what I own. All of that has, in the last decade or so of my life, things that were so important are don't have the same meaning, except for myself. Other people will have them, or they'll be tossed, or whatever. So it's a whole process. This, the time of accumulation, the time of building, and then this time of realizing that it was an interesting passage. I love Gyandat's Prem's the suggestion of alternate nostril breathing to calm one's. I think that's something that is great to be passed on to my chair yogis. And the idea of the path of soul is the path of art.
mm,
The way I've been thinking about it is the path of creativity, which is so present in the younger people, my grandkids' generation, who will be turning into great grand eventually. I mean, without not too distant future, within the next decade or less. So we are really handing the baton to new generations that there was something somebody said that was related to that. But one of the things I went and got, was that the Quakers, the Friends, had a sentence that was in a mailing, and it said, "We seek an earth restored." I'd like that, instead of having to do this or having to do that or having all the things to do, and I would change as I was as I'm reading this, we allow a youth, an earth restored.
Mm.
It's a very gentle way of not striving, but allowing exactly what it's a different way of approaching climate change. So anyway, I like that. We allow an earth restored.
Mm.
So that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay. Japa Saraswati.
Mm.
Okay. Now, Japa Saraswati, is this coming from your own path or meditation or whatever, but not from another yoga thing? Is it coming from you?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay.
Amen.
Well, it's also coming from the video because the note that I wrote down, the line from the video that I kept coming back toward was the video said when we push against pain, um, that oh resistance resistance tightens pain, acceptance loosens it. And what I felt about pushing against pain, I kept coming back to EFT or the tapping, where basically you acknowledge the pain. I think I told you guys once that
Mhm.
I fell, I was carrying watermelons over a huge pile of gravel and I rolled my ankle so
Mm.
badly because I didn't want to drop I had one watermelon under each arm and I couldn't catch myself as I was falling and it was so bad. I
Mm.
mean, like I was surprised I didn't break it. It was so bad. It was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't drop the melons though. And then I immediately went inside and I did EFT. So you go and you tap around these points, on your face and on your body, and you say, like, even though I'm in searing, excruciating pain, I fully and completely love, honor, and accept myself. Even though I feel like a big dummy for falling down, I fully and completely love, honor, and accept myself. And you go around to all of these, like, meridian points and that was really resonant with the video about accepting the pain because resistance will tighten the pain and acceptance will loosen it. So my Healy today, it's once again, it's always all about me, but I've been having really intense cramps for the last couple of
Mm.
days, and
Say it
like
again. I'm sorry.
I'm having cramps, like
Mm.
PMS cramps.
Mm.
And it's just been like I feel kind of unwell from it, like I'm
Mhm.
usually not like that. I'm usually running around. So for my Healy, it was like my own womb, but then I felt
Mm.
Mother Earth, and then I felt my own mother, and I had a lot of like sort of Marushka dolls, mothers, all nesting and sending this healing energy to that.
Wow.
There was a beautiful healing meditation, but then what I wish that Aagia Pal was still here because I really want to tell you guys about the particle accelerator in CERN in Geneva, Switzerland,
Mhm.
because because okay, so the internet psychics are saying, among other things, that they did a lot of work that for the accelerator stopped down. They take a planned 4-year break at regular intervals so that they can do maintenance and basically replace the magnets that are in this particle accelerator. And if you don't know it, basically it's for um, smashing smashing molecules together really hard enough to um, study the laws of physics and stuff. So they had this planned shutdown at the very end of June, and in preparation for that, they did a ton of extra particle accelerating work in the last through the month of June. Basically, they did a ton of work to try to rush to get ready for the shutdown. And they basically, what I don't know if this is true, but what I understand from the internet people is that they did more work with accelerating particles in the last month than had been done in, I want to say, like all of time before that. Like they did a bodacious amount of particle accelerating in June. And and the internet psychics are saying, and this is where I don't know what's true or not, so that's why I really want to bring it to my community. But the internet people are saying that it's affecting women's menstrual cycles, that not all of, but like a lot of people are having these symptoms this month, like a lot, and that it's also because it's also disturbed the fabric of space time, and that we have fractioned off into we've created a lot of alternate timelines by doing this bodacious amount of particle acceleration. And yeah, and also this is part of what I wanted to say. I wish that Aagia Pal was here, but I wanted to say it to the rest of you that they're saying that July 17th is going to be a significant date for things happening. Um, and I want to say the way that I felt yesterday, I felt I felt very latent. Like I felt this heavy, almost expectancy with like waiting for the thing to happen. I don't quite know exactly what. I'm not really focusing too hard or too heavy on this, because what I liked the best about the meditation today, Siri Gian, was also the invitation to really keep it light and playful and not let it get heavy, because it feels like there's so much heavy energy going around lately that the keeping it light and playful is the way. You know, it feels like that's the way to really progress through it. Oh, and you know what else I loved about the movie, about the message, was about that it felt like dwelling on injustice, like dwelling on the on whatever it was that we wished had been put back into some other place. And to me, I it feels like Velcro, you know, like it feels like those little barbed hooks that are inside of a Velcro sticker, and that it keeps you stuck or sticking to the past, and that when we can drop the charge on the on whatever memory that is, that it helps to unstuck those barbs. And so that is that, like, deep neutral acceptance is part of, like, I keep coming back to the EFT, but even though I feel like a big dummy for falling on the with the watermelons in my hands and rolling my ankle like that, even though that it's that, like, acceptance, that deep neutral acceptance, and also back to the video of allowing or acknowledging it instead of saying, and that's what keeps us in that place of pain is being stuck in that how do you say it, stuck in the past, in whatever, stuck in dwelling in the moment, or dwelling in the, I don't quite know what, but dwelling in the past and in the memory of it. So what I'll also say about the EFT is that on that occasion with my ankle like that, my ankle healed so much more quickly. Like, I was shocked that I didn't break it the way that I fell that time. That was in 2017, I think. And like the EFT, it really, really, really helped. I was back on 2 feet like much faster, and I fully believe it's because of doing that work immediately. Immediately as soon as it happened, I was, instead of saying I can't believe what a dummy I am, I fell. I say, even though I feel like a big dummy for falling, I fully and completely love, honor, and accept myself. It's that deep neutral acceptance, and that allowing of the pain and of the experience, um, to help with the release.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gracias, gracias. Beautiful.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. God bless you.
Mm.
And I'll just tell you another little thing that I have had. I've found a really wonderful healer, and she was talking about animals. What are these things? Animals have not a tongue, but we know those things. Token. It's more than a token, but it's like that. But she said, what was that? And I realized, because I have known that before, and she said, well, snakes let go of the old skin. I went, oh, okay. Then a few weeks ago, I felt like everything was not expanded, but it was too constricted. And I thought, oh my goodness, here it is. It's the skins are going away, and so that I can be more expanded. So that's what happened for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Now, also, after we leave, I would like to talk with Hadi Munder for a little bit. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, good. And you all are so wonderful. Thank you. And you all are keeping up. This is
Keeping
what,
up.
and it's because of letting go. Isn't that amazing? Yes. And
Hallelujah. Amen. Satnam.
say it
Waheguru.
again. What?
Hallelujah. Amen. Satnam. Waheguru.
Okay, good.
Hallelujah.
Well,
Okay. Siri Gian, are you there? Siri Gian, are you there?
Namji, should I take off so you guys can talk? I don't know where we're at.
That's what I think she said, but I don't hear her
We
on.
lost her. She just signed off. Maybe she was having a tech problem. I think we should do our love song, and then I actually think, Huddy Munder, that you should call her because I don't. It's complicated to stop the recording, and then one of you has to be the host of the meeting for me
Oh,
to leave.
and
So it's
it
better to call.
sounds good. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, let's just do our love song, and then you
Okay.
and Siri Gian can meet on the other side. I'll sing. I'll sing. Let's go.
Sure.
May the sun shine upon you.
All love surround
surround
you,
you,
and
and
the
the
pure
pure
light
light
within
within
you
you guide
guide your
Way on
guide
God,
your
your way
way
on.
God,
guide
Guide your
way on.
way
Sun
on.
Oh, good.
Waiguru. Thank you, everyone.
That was good. Thank you so much because my streaming was not working. Now we're back. Okay. Thank you. And then Huddy Munder, I want to talk to you. Okay?
okay. Do you want me to call you? Or you want
Oh yeah. Call me.
okay.
Okay.
Love
Thank
to
you.
all.
Love you all. You are
Love you all.
wonderful. Thank you.
Have a,
Adios.
Satnam, have a wonderful week.
But
Thank you,
Oh.
Japa Ji, for your impeccable technical service. Really couldn't do
Hallelujah.
it without you.
Yeah. Amen.
Exactly.
Mm.
Okay. Thank you.
And God bless you, Siri Gian.
Thank you. I appreciate
you.
that.
Waiguru.
Love you, love you, love you.
Love you.